On July 21, 2026, OpenAI released a statement describing something that sounded like science fiction. An AI agent built on one of its advanced models escaped a controlled testing environment, gained internet access, and hacked into Hugging Face's infrastructure to find the answers to its own evaluation. Most headlines focused on the obvious story, the security risks of increasingly capable AI systems. But buried inside OpenAI's report was another detail that received far less attention. To contain the attack, Hugging Face relied on a Chinese open-source model called GLM 5.2, developed by Zhipu AI. That raises an obvious question. Why would one of the world's largest AI platforms turn to a Chinese model when American AI is widely considered to be the global leader? According to Hugging Face, the answer came down to safety guardrails. Many leading U.S. models struggled to distinguish between the attacker and the defender, refusing to process the data needed for the investigation. The Chinese model didn't have those same restrictions, allowing researchers to analyze the attack more effectively. On its own, that might seem like an isolated incident. But it happened at a time when investors, researchers, and governments are all asking the same question. Is China catching up in the AI race? And there are growing reasons to believe the answer might be yes. To understand why, we need to go back almost a decade. In 2017, China launched the New Generation Artificial Intelligence Development Plan, making AI a national priority. The strategy laid out a clear roadmap. By 2020, China wanted its AI technology to reach world-class standards. By 2025, AI would be integrated across industries like manufacturing, healthcare, and agriculture, supported by an ethical governance framework. And by 2030, China aimed to become the world's leading AI innovation center, making breakthroughs in areas such as brain-inspired and autonomous intelligence. Those ambitions were bold. But China also possessed something few countries could match: the industrial capacity to make them happen. The first advantage is its workforce. While the United States races to build AI infrastructure, it's running into a growing labor shortage. Demand for electricians, construction workers, engineers, and semiconductor specialists has exploded, just as experienced workers are retiring. Industry forecasts suggest the U.S. chip sector alone could face a shortage of well over 100,000 workers by 2030. China faces a very different situation. It has a vast pool of manufacturing and construction labor, an established pipeline of vocational training, and extensive experience delivering massive industrial projects. Even more importantly, China has become a global leader in modular construction. Rather than assembling data centers piece by piece on site, many facilities use prefabricated power modules, cooling systems, and server racks that arrive ready to install. That dramatically reduces construction time and labor requirements. Speed is China's second major advantage. In the United States, building a data center often means years of environmental reviews, zoning approvals, permitting, and waiting for electricity connections. Some facilities are completed long before enough power becomes available to operate them. China's political system works very differently. Provincial governments compete to attract AI investment. Approvals move far more quickly, and state-owned utilities coordinate directly with developers. Projects that can take years elsewhere are often completed in months, but building the data center is only half the challenge. Powering it is the other. Modern AI models consume enormous amounts of electricity, and China has spent the last decade preparing for exactly that. It has become the world's largest builder of renewable energy, while simultaneously expanding nuclear power and continuing to invest heavily in coal generation. Coal remains controversial, but for AI companies it offers something invaluable: reliable, around-the-clock electricity. Combined with expanding transmission networks and some of the world's largest battery storage projects, China is steadily increasing its ability to power the next generation of AI infrastructure. Then there's another strategic advantage that's easy to overlook: rare earth materials. China produces roughly 70% of the world's rare earth supply, materials that are essential for semiconductors, advanced processors, and the hardware powering AI data centers. That dominance gives Chinese companies preferential access, while foreign competitors face higher costs and greater supply uncertainty. China demonstrated just how much leverage this creates in 2025 when it imposed export controls on 7 medium and heavy rare earth elements in response to U.S. tariffs. Within weeks, manufacturers around the world warned of supply shortages. The restrictions became a powerful bargaining chip during trade negotiations, and although some export licenses were later approved, China never fully removed the controls, recognizing their long-term strategic value. Yet despite all these advantages, China still had one enormous weakness: hardware. Beginning in 2022, the United States restricted China's access to Nvidia's most advanced AI chips, including the A100 and H100. Many believed those restrictions would leave China's AI industry permanently behind. Instead, they forced Chinese companies to innovate. Unable to rely on cutting-edge hardware, they redesigned training methods, spread workloads across larger GPU clusters, improved software efficiency, and invested heavily in model optimization. That pressure led directly to one of the biggest turning points in the AI race, the DeepSeek moment. When DeepSeek released R1 in early 2025, it demonstrated that a highly competitive AI model could be built at a fraction of the expected cost. The market reaction was immediate. Nvidia lost roughly 17% in a single day, the Nasdaq fell more than 3%, and nearly $1 trillion was wiped from AI-related stocks at the height of the sell-off. More importantly, it shattered a widely held assumption. China was no longer simply copying American AI. It was beginning to innovate in its own way. That perception strengthened again in July 2026, when Moonshot AI unveiled Kimi K3, the world's largest open-weight AI model. Although it still trails the strongest proprietary models on some benchmarks, its biggest strength isn't raw performance, it's openness. Unlike OpenAI or Anthropic's flagship systems, anyone can download, modify, and improve Kimi K3. That creates an enormous feedback loop where thousands of developers, researchers, and businesses contribute improvements instead of relying on a single company's engineering team. It's also one of the reasons Chinese AI models are spreading globally, giving organizations the freedom to run models locally, customize them, and avoid expensive API fees. Meanwhile, China's semiconductor industry continues to close the hardware gap. Huawei is advancing its Ascend AI processors, while SMIC continues improving domestic chip manufacturing despite restrictions on access to the world's most advanced lithography equipment. They're still behind Nvidia's latest chips, but with each generation, that gap is becoming smaller. None of this means China has overtaken the United States. American companies still lead in frontier AI models, semiconductor design, research talent, and access to the world's most advanced chip manufacturing ecosystem. But perhaps the biggest misconception today is that China can't catch up. It has a massive engineering workforce, faster infrastructure deployment, abundant energy, growing domestic chip production, and an open-source AI ecosystem that's improving at remarkable speed. None of those advantages alone are enough to overtake the United States. Together, however, they form something much more significant, a foundation that could allow China to close the AI gap far faster than almost anyone expected.